track you're hearing is Demetori, Shanghai, Teahouse, Chinese tea. It's also an interesting clean chorus. And this is one of the most interesting songs that I wanted to learn, and eventually I did. It's too hard to learn at the time. That clean chorus is quite easy to learn. It's an interesting sort of metal track because it doesn't follow the standard kind of heaviness. It just stays like sort of metally in terms of like, or maybe even just rock. Now I think about it. It's like hard rock, I guess. It's got some interesting parts. Obviously, you've got this bit here, like just a standard palm muty chord moving bit, but it's also got key changes in it. Could be wrong in that, but it sounds like a key change to me. And I find it kind of fascinating. Yeah, it just fills itself a bit, and also you've got great symphonic background instruments, and then we go into the lead. The guitar of it. Yeah, the lead guitar's quite fun. It follows obviously the Toho track, Chinese Tea, I believe it's called. Yeah. And there's some interesting variations on this riff as well, I think, if I remember it correctly. Yeah. You've got this interesting bridge bit, which sounds pretty cool. It's got the clean chorus and the rhythm. Just so interesting as a chord progression. I didn't even realise how jazzy it sort of sounded as well. It's crazy. It's just so creative. And the transition as well, like just brief pause, back into the lead riff. And what else is there? Right here, much else. My second earphone on for some reason. Then you get into the chorusy bit, which is a interesting bit. Got a very sort of walking rhythm bit, which I don't hear often in music. I do like it. It's got some really fun fucking chords as well, like fucking vibrato, one of them. It's just nuts. Again, just more proof that Demetori is just goated. Yeah, more lead. Sounds amazing. But this song has one of my favourite bridge parts, as you'll see coming up soon. It's one of the most unique parts I've ever fucking heard. Also that, they just randomly doing something melodic, and here it is. This bridge is insane. Just fucking love it. It's just, like, is it jazzy or is it just chill? It's hard to describe. It just gives you this feeling of just wow. It's kind of crazy. And then it goes into a solo after that. Very interesting chromatic bit there as well. Yeah, the solo is really good too. I always like the solo in this one. Demetori solos are always quite interesting. I wouldn't say they're amazing like, I don't know, Galneria solos, but the solos can be good, and this is one of them. There's like a second part of the solo too, which is pretty nuts. Yeah. Skip ahead a bit. Got another bridge after that. Same riff again. I believe there's a key change after that. Yeah, pretty sure it's a key change. Then a second solo. Just again nuts. The second solo is quite nice as well. It's got a very sort of smooth rock feel. And it goes back to the riff that we heard at the beginning. For some reason away from the key change, which I didn't even realise before. But it has the rhythm on top of it. And yeah, this track is just fucking amazing. As are with all the tracks from this same album, I think. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to the first topic. So for our first topic, I didn't really expect to be talking about this, but I'm also confessing to a crime. No, not an real one. It's actually one that took place on the internet. It's a really frustrating situation. But to sum it up, there was a post by Chainbrain recently on Rocksmith, and this is related to Rocksmith somehow. where he played the recent release of the Pantera Floods CDLC. And for anyone unaware, I used to be a CDLC creator of Rocksmith 2014. And to me, this was essentially one of the ways I was able to learn music. And it was cool. Yeah, it allowed me to learn things about music that I didn't already know. And having this way to learn was extremely helpful in becoming a better guitarist and understanding music and instruments a lot more. So I ended up benefiting from it majorly, to the point where everything I'd put on there ended up allowing me to learn music that was seemingly impossible for me in the past. So we're talking like Periphery and, well, not Polyphia, I didn't do Polyphia at that point. Polyphia was a later thing. But I did get there somehow eventually. I was making, like, at least, well, actually there's only one Periphery track I think, or maybe two. There's a Scarlet and Race Car. Race Car was one of the fucking hardest ones ever to make. It required so many adjustments, and I even had to learn one part of it because the tab wasn't correct. It was insane. But that's probably gone now because of this recent drama, and it's not really to do with the host of the site or anything, although partially it could be, I guess. There's a very weird situation, and I'll try to explain. So yeah, with that out of the way, Pantera Floods was a recent CDLC, and there was briefly a mention from Chainbrain about this being an improved version, even though he said it's the first time this has been added, which is false because it was added before. And apparently, according to a comment, he played this before as well, not my version. I think it was my version. I could be misremembering, but I do remember tracking out part of it. I'm pretty sure I have the CDLC files somewhere as well. And if I didn't release it, it's probably a personal version. But I want to explain everything that happened recently, and even just things that I have to confess to now that I'm not a CDLC creator anymore, and I don't think I ever want to be, to be fair. So when I first started, I was actually toxic as fuck because I made a CDLC for a track that already had a DLC. Now, if anyone knows the rules for, well, Customs Forge and Ignition, both of them pretty much the same thing, you would know that doing this is essentially not good. It's a bannable offence, so I was confusingly banned because even though I had actually looked up whether it existed as a DLC, it didn't come up, and this actually was one part of the story that was true and hard to actually justify, because on the second search it did show up. So yeah, that was weird, for sure. So there's just a bunch of strange circumstances around this. With no obvious solution, it seems. So I ended up getting into an argument with the site admin. I can't remember who they were, if they had a name, because I think they hid behind technically the alias of the site, which is fine. But I ended up having the argument and just like, yeah, but I was wrong. That's pretty obvious. But also I do take issue with how they handle it now, to be fair, which is that you can't make custom DLC for Rocksmith Plus tracks, which, by the way, can be removed, and they don't even always live up to the standards. So I think that sucks, technically speaking, so I think they need to amend that now, as soon as possible, because a lot of the DLC that I would have otherwise played is now locked to Rocksmith, the CDLC rather. But that's the first thing. So I had a justified ban, made a new account, and that's been the one I've used for years. Yeah, I expect nobody realised that. And I can't remember how I even avoided. Actually, maybe that was how. Like, my old computer used to reset the hardware already. I don't know how. I didn't even fucking know what that was, and it just reset every time. So I managed to avoid even detection from that, from this site. It's just nuts. Not something you expect or see every day, to be honest. It's just kind of crazy that happened anyway. But again, it's just what. But that aside, there was a problem with how I made DLC myself when I got around to it. Not custom DLC, not obviously real DLC. I forgot to mention that. But when I made it, there was a problem, and that was that I had no experience, and it took me a lot of time to do, time and effort, and I got there eventually. But the one issue that I could not address is my fucking tones. The tones I had were defaults from what I had liked in Rocksmith anyway. So I used a Megadeth tone from Symphony of Destruction as my rhythm guitar, I believe. If not, it's probably another song. But also used a clean chorus from the, I believe, Red Hot Chili Peppers CDLC, which is again really dumb. And the same with other tones. I think I used a bass from like a Black Sabbath track. So there's never any variation there. But that was because I didn't know how to make a tone. Nowadays I probably could make something, but I'm not that confident in it, and it takes a lot of time, and that's the problem. The problem back then for me was I didn't have the time to do it, and even when I tried it, it never turned out right. So I just gave up in the end, which is why I essentially went to defaults, hence the same tones every fucking CDLC. There's not much I could do about that. The only time I varied it up a bit was when it was a track I really admired or respected. So I've used someone else's tone for Scale the Summit, for example, when I made Sea in the Sky for CDLC, and also other tracks. I used another user's tone, which was honestly really good. It's the most accurate tone I think I've heard from the CDLC before, which is insane. But yeah, it's a weird situation because I don't know what to do with that. Again, I had no clue. I'm a beginner guitarist. I'm not a fucking genius or anything. So I had justifiable reason not to really bother myself with it. I'm sorry if I ran a bit off, because that's part of probably either the black mold or something else. Anyway. So yeah, I just use the default tones, and that's always been a struggle for me, because I've heard, I think Chainbrain, who's played a few of my tracks, has commented on it before, I think, but I think it's like the same tones. Luckily it's not the gross tone, I don't think. Could be. I don't think it is the gross tone he uses. It's a pretty funny tone. But it's a rough situation because I don't have any options there. I'm stuck with the old defaults because of not being able to tune these things or dial them in, essentially. That's not tune, dial. I hate it. It's horrible. It makes my CDLCs look like good charts on one hand but terrible tones on the other, and I just feel ashamed of that, really. And it is one of the reasons I kind of stopped, because in the end I was making so many that I didn't have anything to really show for the tones. And yeah, people bring this up. Actually, I did get comments about it, I remember now, about having the tones be the same, because people didn't really like that. And whilst I get it, I also expect people to give me a lesson, because I genuinely do not know how to dial in a tone, and I think if you can do better, that's my logic back then, you should be able to do it yourself then. Like, give me the tone, because I'm not doing it. And I'm not incorrect in thinking that, I don't think. Because if I was making, again, say, I don't know, like a Megadeth track, I think I've made one. I think about it, I can't remember what it was though. But if I made one of them, and someone was saying you can't use this tone, it's the same thing as this one, it's lazy, then you can make one. Because I'm not doing it. There's no fucking point. It's a joke and a tragedy at the same time, literally. So there was always that problem to begin with, and that definitely lowered the quality. But there's also the thing with tablature, which I tried for a bit, did mostly succeed, but at the same time didn't. I remember chambering reviewing the Worship Decay one by Solosis and saying, this is a weird chart. I don't know what was weird about it, because it's literally one of the best charts I ever fucking made. It's so weird. I don't have that level of confidence, but that ended up being good. And I don't know why, exactly. So it's very strange. Not much to it. What else was there? Yeah, that was the other thing as well. It sort of relates to a thing I brought up earlier about how creators could sometimes make a CDLC for something that already existed or that I'd made. And it's not really a competition thing, but rather it's like, this is a bit weird because I've only recently made this, and then you suddenly make a new one without any improvements that I test these, by the way, because I want to have less responsibility on this. I've played every single CDLC. Actually, no, not every single one, most of them. Most of them, and I've found that it's quite rare that there is an improvement because some of the charts are inferior, and that's the main problem. Because when it comes to CDLC, tone isn't everything. That's what I learned in my own experience from doing it for years, at least since like 2015 I think it was, and then stopped in 2020. But I learned that having the good chart is probably the better option, the lesser of the two evils there, because it meant that you understood your instrument, it meant you understood the assignment there, getting to learn music. It didn't matter the tone because everyone's going to have a different tone anyway, while you're actually learning this in real life or just anywhere else, even for like a band. So it really didn't matter what sort of tone you had, it just mattered what the chart was. And so you saw these inferior CDLCs with tabs that were really badly made or not even correct, and even some out of sync. That's the other thing, some tracks were so badly out of sync you would have to manually dial in a BPM change every few seconds just to get it to work. That was one of the crazy scenarios I had with some older music, and I think even some modern, but it's quite rare for modern music. This like Demetori stuff, I did have some of that in Demetori at some point. I can't do anything about the bike because people are idiots. I'm pretty sure there's people who don't wear helmets, by the way. So if I don't hear them one day, thank fuck. So what's the next thing? Other than that, like, it wasn't a competition thing. I just have to make clear I don't really care. I was glad that people were taking over and also making these so that I don't have to, and I don't have to update them either. Because I usually just did one thing and then left it unless it was like crashing, and I did get a few crash reports, but they weren't verifiable because I didn't have crashes on them most of the time. There's one case where a riff repeater one, we're trying to do that, would crash one, but it wasn't really fixable by me, so I didn't know what to do, so I had to leave it really. It's not something in my skill set, it's just a problem. The software fucking sucks. Like, Jesus Christ, I've already talked about it, but holy crap, all the software is bad. Everything, it's just terrible. It's so inaccessible and inconvenient to use. It's terrible. I wonder what the Rocksmith Plus one is like, but even then, not so hopeful. Yeah, next thing, other than the charts, CDLC, when there was an update to the site, there was an update to it where they essentially added basically a report button to CDLC tracks, and whilst that was a good thing, at the same time it was bad because it often pulled down the CDLCs, and they eventually fixed that by just adding the flag system, but a lot of mine had been reported before and even just after, and the ones that had been reported before ended up getting removed, and I had no choice but to leave it because I'm not there to really update these things, for a lot of the bugs aren't even my problem. And the only CDLCs I see get reported nowadays are those by bigger bands. So, for example, there's like a Pantera one recently. I'm pretty sure it's actually Floods, now I think about it. But Floods was obviously reported, and it's I think it's something to do with like tones. I can't remember what it was. There's something wrong with it, but you never get these reports on like smaller artists on there. So it just makes me wonder: is it just that element of, oh, this is a more popular artist, so they get more attention? I think that is what's going on there. Is it enough? I don't know entirely. But yeah, it's like very sort of disorienting. That's not the term, is it? Although disconcerting, that's probably it actually. But it's not inspiring at all when this shit happens, and the report system was a bit scruffed. It meant that every time you just didn't fulfill a report thing or respond to it, your CDLC got removed, so a lot of mine as a result are missing. How to address that though is a bit of a mystery, because I only have the CDLC files, which I'm not sure in terms of, not saying legal terms, but ethical terms as well, how good that is to release, because I don't know what the fuck I've done with a lot of mine. It's just a simple process like MP3 to OGG and then I don't know, something else. But yeah, there's a lot that went into it, and each file has something to it, I think. It's hard to say really. I just find CDLC creation tiring at that point, because like, what the fuck? This shit is just annoying. In the end, it's just frustrating to get through to try and figure out, because that's what it does to you. It becomes the frustration, and I didn't want that on me really. So yeah, so CDLC reports were another pain in the neck essentially. But then we get to a recent thing which happened only when I switched to Vivaldi browser. And this is a new thing because I have not seen anything like this in a long time. For some reason, the browser didn't remember my password for it. I don't usually update it, but I'm pretty sure it's the same one as usual, and for some reason it didn't log in. I was fine on Mozilla, but this time it just refused to log in, so I don't know what the fuck happened there. It's a very strange scenario. Just bizarre. There's nothing else to say about it really. So that happens. Very weird. And I was never able to log in. In fact, it locked my account. So that's the other thing. But then I found out only through Mozilla that the account that I was using had an email that was also missing a password, and I have never been able to access that. It's been inactive for at least, I'd say, 8 or 9 years now, because I had a few alternate emails. I had basically, I've split them up as people may know, but I have separate ones, and this one's for college and work, so it's like a really important email to an extent. But I ended up losing that somehow, so that ended up happening. I remember being contacted about employment opportunities actually on that account, and I've never been able to access the account, and I can't even get it back. So I'm already fucked. My account's completely gone. Even though I added one to my Custom Forge one, it's also not working because it for some reason didn't register or something. So I can't even use the alternate email. It's all sorts of fucked up, and it's frustrating as well because I've lost years of progress. I'm not sure if the account has removed like all the CDLC or anything, but yeah, it's very bizarre. I'm not really sure what else there is to say on that, to be fair. It's very strange. So my account's been locked, and that's fun. So yeah, what was I even add here? So, yeah, that means I have to make a new account, and I'm kind of happy to do that, to be fair. It's not a big deal to me, because in the end it's also got the collections and stuff. If I were to make another CDLC, which is extremely unlikely, I wouldn't have to look far, I don't think. I'd go for something like that. But yeah, it's just one of these situations, I guess. I don't know what to add, really. I think I've talked about everything, but I'm glad to have left this all behind to pursue music fully. Because I'm actually making a metal track right now. It's just fucking brutal. It's one of the most brutal tracks I've made and heard, I think. It's strange. I don't know how I managed it, but I guess it came from a very dark place, so it's not surprising in that sense. I kind of expected it, to be fair. But yeah, that's CDLC drama and Rocksmith, essentially, in a nutshell, showing up bollocks, something like that. Yeah. Do we have anything else to add? So let's move on. I can't remember if I've ever explained this, but people might be interested in how I get my gameplay videos and stuff, or lack thereof. I also just capture moments, and there's a reason behind it which is really interesting. I used to be a big user of Nvidia Shadowplay, and back in the day this was a lifesaver. I say back in the day, it's like when I started my channel. And it allowed me to capture clips that you would otherwise not be able to. And compared to like recording an entire session, it was just much more convenient as an idea, because it was like a way to replay back all the moments you've had that you captured. And it is a good idea. But there's one problem. Nvidia is Nvidia, and they seem to fuck over their software a lot. And the issue I had on my old 97, not 970, what the fuck? 970, rather. The card that I had, that was really cool. It's actually in a 3D model, for anyone who doesn't know what they are. They're like specifically a cooler, I don't know what to call them, they just have better temperatures, I think, than some of the competition out there. And yeah, that was a gimmick really, and my GPU lasted, has to be said. Pretty sure it's still alive now actually, it's in my PC somewhere maybe, is it? Maybe did I take it out? I can't remember actually. Maybe it wasn't that though, I don't know. But anyway, I used that to capture it a lot, and then eventually I got my obviously more recent computer here, the 3070. But the problem with Shadowplay is it kept crashing, and this was annoying for a few reasons, because it meant when I was going into games and I wanted to capture things, it wouldn't always be there. So I was, as a result, missing a lot of footage. And I've been so fucking angry at that I literally just looked for an alternative. Thankfully it existed, and it's not the best one, but it works. And the solution was OBS, a streaming software which I do happen to be familiar with, because I've watched live streams for ages. I've heard people mention it and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. So, where do I start with this? It has a lot of options in terms of capturing. This is the first big thing. It's like you can capture specific windows. Shadowplay can do that too, but you don't get the choice. It's a bit weird in that sense, but OBS allows you to capture anything. And then the appeal there was you could be able to capture whatever you want. even your display if you so choose to. But I needed a replay option, so I obviously did some research and there was a plugin. So I installed it back when it was a plugin, rather than a default like it is now, I think. Is it? I'm not sure actually. Because I did install this back when I had the 9070 PC. But yeah, it was a challenge to install and get it to work, but eventually I figured it out. And the only thing I have to do now manually, which is still fucking annoying, is when I change the flex game option, I need to change the window and also change it in the scene as well. Because you have to go into advanced scene switcher and you have to enable it, obviously. You have to like change the windows and stuff. So, for example, flex game, where is that? If window. Maybe I don't. That's weird. You used to have to turn that on. That's why I removed it, but that doesn't make sense. It's weird, but stop replay has to have that as well. Yeah, it has the flex game window in there. That's a bit strange. Maybe one of the flex games is not selected. That's probably why. So there's no window for it at the moment. Yeah, OBS has some interesting options there. The replay buffer has been, I'd say, 98% reliable. It's probably the most accurate thing, and that's better than Shadowplay, which had about, in my count, 65 to 70% success rate in terms of if it recorded and if it ran to start with. Sometimes it just wouldn't run. I was playing Overwatch and stuff, and it just wouldn't fucking run. So it got really frustrating in the end. But Shadowplay? Well, no, OBS has been far more reliable in the long run and more customizable. As you can see, I've got no gameplay, but I'm still able to show off some screenshots, and eventually it'll be artwork as well. But that's the magic of OBS. So instead of having to use like an external software, speaking of which, I need to remove one from there. Ever use it really. But I can just capture things as I want to. I can add a scene, not scene, but a window thing. It's just more creative and more detailed in a way that it needs to be. And then you've got this second issue that I encountered with this, which is the volume's not recording at a good rate. And so what I needed to do is edit the audio mixers and be able to have it so that I could have audio for everything pretty much. So obviously I got my first mic and second mic, which came much later, so it's a backup essentially. And that's been working for the most part. It's been helpful when the first mic stops working for some reason. No idea what causes it, it just randomly turns into a glitchy mess. And it works, but then something magical happened at some point in one of the OBS updates, which honestly I think is one of the best fucking updates I've ever seen for our software. There's an option anyway, and that is audio application capture beta. For anyone who didn't know, I used to upload my videos without audio, or game audio or anything. And that was because I was multitasking, so I was playing Overwatch casually and I was listening to, I don't know, Twitch/Sips, like twitch.com/Sips or something like that. I should do have the URL there, twitch.tv/Sips, not .com. Don't go there, it's probably a virus. I mean the .com one. Don't think Sips has any viruses. A strange thing to say. Yeah, like that would be the case, and even when I'm gaming as well in general, that could happen, and the audio capture previously, it would pick up on that, and yeah, like, I just don't want to fucking hear it. It is so annoying to have, and I don't want that. So I ended up muting everything, but with this update that they did about 3-4 years ago, maybe a bit more actually. I can't remember. But they added an audio application thing, and it was in beta. Not sure if it still is, I need to check. Oh, it is still in beta, okay. But it allowed you to capture audio of specific windows, specific fucking audios. Which is just, it's mind-blowing. It's just insane. That is such a good fucking idea. And yet a necessary one too. Because for someone like me who might, even people just stream something on the side like music, you'll need to be able to mute the music without getting a copyright strike so you can hear all the audio that's coming besides the music. And that's what it's used for. That's what it's useful for. And I ended up using it, and it's been perfect ever since. But the only problem I've found is the volumes are quite low. I'm not sure if that's to do with the thing itself or just my system in general. But I've had to increase it, and that does lead into the other issue of OBS. I can't increase it above 0 decibels by slider anyway. You have to do it in the advanced properties menu, and I do it by percentage now rather than decibels because it's hard to measure. But by percentage, I essentially, I managed to get audio to be almost on the same level as my mic audio, which is quite important when editing a video. And also it has a handy sort of bar thing here that you got green, yellow, and red. If it peaks, it goes to red, which sadly the other mic does. It goes to red a lot, and you have to end up quietening it in the video editing software DaVinci Resolve. I forgot what the name was for some reason. Yeah, that's a bit annoying, but overall OBS has been useful. I've been trying to experiment with getting the thing there running, just automatically removing the image, but I don't know how to do that. Because I tried a macro and it didn't work. FFXIV text, run macro and parallels, it's on, but it doesn't work. Perform actions only on condition change. No, it should be constantly, so will it work now? No. So that's like the other issue. Maybe it's because I'm recording. Yeah, I'm trying to get that to change the things. It's like, I'll explain the macro itself. I've got start replay and stop replay macro. Basically, if window Rocksmith I've got here, then it turns it on. Starts replay buffer, which is also a thing you have to set up, by the way. I forgot to mention that. That's a big crucial point there. It does save you settings though, which is good. But I've got stop replay, which is if video Rocksmith. Stop replay buffer, if it's has no output, I mean. Which is again really good, because it means it's looking for a window or a source to basically say to stop the replay buffer. So, and also it prevented my PC from going to sleep. That's the problem. That's why I needed this, and I couldn't keep the replay buffer on all the time. So that's the problem. Although the only thing with this, I suppose, is if file sizes you get are absurd, and it's hard to balance audio, well, not audio, fucking quality and stuff with that. And given that each clip is about 2 minutes, I need to make sure that it's good. But as for the text, what you see here is like the rabbit, the loperet, and I'm trying to get that to close off when I close Final Fantasy XIV, because I only use it to censor the chat. It's, well, I say censor, but privacy as well, because I'm in a free company, and you don't really want the conversations that are exposed. I don't think anyone does. But essentially, It's because it's locked. I don't know, I'll unlock it and see what happens. We've got FFXIV text. If source Final Fantasy video is active, enable image. And image is the selected source. So it basically enables and disables it. And you can also do it with audio, that's interesting. But then I've got FFXIV text off, which is if not source Final Fantasy vid is showing. For some reason there's no option for this, I don't know why. It's a bit weird. There's no like it's not showing. So I don't know, like is that maybe what's wrong? Is showing is active. I can't see it. No, it's not showing. That's the problem here. It's not enough options. Wait. So is active is showing disable image. Huh? That's flashing now. That's kind of not working, but working. But then it's source disable image. So yeah, I don't know, I need to figure this out because it's bothering me. If not, it does the thing. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to maybe do it by window. If it can pick a window out. Window, it can, okay. And, if I could grab the Final Fantasy one from there, type it in. Fucking hell, it's fucking up all my settings now, great. I need to go back into Final Fantasy and fix that up, but yeah, maybe this is somewhat reliable. Not always, as you can see. That's why I've been using it. So yeah, let's move on. So this situation is extremely fucked. Well, like, I say extremely, but I haven't seen it all of it. And to be honest, it's kind of, I don't know, lukewarm. I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but it's a frustrating situation either way because of the implications. So recently on the LGBTQ plus subreddit, or LGBT as it's actually called, for some reason, not sure why they named it that, even though there's more of us than ever. There was a post from someone about a concerning situation regarding the r/MTF subreddit, which stands for male to female. And given that this is trans related, this is somewhat concerning. And the post was about apparently paedophilia, and some moderator there being corrupt and engaging with it, and I think even exchanging like pages with some of the people on the subreddit or so. Like, there's some extreme power tripping shit here, which is just concerning as hell. And there are quite a few issues, but when I woke up this morning to make sure that I've done my research on this, pretty much everything related to it is gone. The original post is removed from r/LGBT, and there is also no proof of this happening anywhere. Like, even though I saw some links from the original poster, there don't seem to be any anymore. I don't know why that is. It's very strange. So it seems like someone in r/LGBT is actually corrupt, because there's no reason why this should be removed. It's a very strange scenario, which is concerning because I had actually initially suspected some moderators of this subreddit to be corrupt anyway, because I was previously banned from there for seemingly no reason. And I say no reason because I literally wasn't given one. If I had a reason, like I was like banned from Reddit permanently before, then I'd actually admit it. Yeah, just to reiterate on that, is a comment that sounded like a death threat, but it wasn't a death threat. It's an easy mistake to make, given my awesome trouble with articulating things. Yeah. Literally, there is someone in that subreddit who moderates it who is just doing terrible things just objectively, not just banning people randomly. It's just also that fact that this post seems to be removed and changed, so that there is no fucking proof of this ever happening. But then I checked the r/MTF subreddit, and I briefly read through a skim Reddit, and it seemed like the situation, which is where this sort of feels lukewarm in my opinion, is that a 17-year-old was dating a 15-year-old. Which, like, to be honest, this isn't even like the worst fucking thing that could even happen. There are far worse things that happen in these situations, and that's like the worst thing they have. But that's from their side of the story, so I don't know for sure if this is actually what's happening. But the post wasn't well received, they had comments turned off, there's no comments on it anyway, and people were giving it the golden shit emoji as a reward, award rather. So that was interesting. But there didn't seem to be much else going on here, it seems. So there's essentially no evidence to lead up on this. But I do have something to weigh in, which people might find interesting, and it's something I did in my research. Because I was looking for ways to sort of, like, because I have my own issues in real life, things I won't go into, but I need some way to sort of suppress my urges in a way, and keeping myself busy is a way to help with that. But in that research I also heard about how taking estrogen, for example, can help with that, and I was a bit curious about that because I thought I wouldn't mind trying to transition even just for the hell of it, because to be honest I did want to technically be a woman at some point, just to, you know, show kind men rather good women exist, and yeah, some of those things I just want to be nice, and I ended up not transitioning obviously, as you could tell. But the thing I discovered in that research was, even though it did suppress these quote-unquote urges, there was a problem apparently where it'd make you extremely horny, which is like, what? And this was anecdotally, merely, but it's concerning either way. Like, why the fuck is this medication even causing that? And it's apparently into the year-long or 2-year span of it, taking it. So it could obviously be different, but it's again very concerning. This ends up being the thing. Because obviously I don't want to take this now, knowing that. And whilst it is good that other people can get this medication and even transition, I do feel concerned about that fact, and I'm wondering if perhaps this is maybe what's happened. I don't know if the mod was actually trans, for example, that's involved in this situation, but it does feel like something here maybe is related, and I could be wrong. But yeah, this situation does really suck, honestly, because it doesn't help things, and whilst this isn't really an argument against trans people, it's more about, you know, the transitioning method. I think it's really important to obviously bring this up and address it. I'm sort of the guy, I guess, who addresses really uncomfortable topics, and admittedly I'm not the most well researched on them, but I want to inspire people to talk about them, because I think there are reasons to talk about them, important reasons as well, like this one. And it could be a case, as I said, one of these moderators was actually on like a 1 or 2 year dose of estrogen, and that is concerning, regardless. It feels just very off-putting as well, because you just want a reasonable world for people, and, you know, for trans people especially, and then you got this shit, which sucks. So yeah. What else is there to even add? I'm trying to think. Not coming to mind. I thought there was something else. I guess, yeah, that's the other thing. It's about how this doesn't help trans people at all. I think there is room for change and redemption in that sense, but this is up to obviously the person responsible and people who are maybe even having these problems to begin with. If there are problems, it's just concerning to me that there doesn't seem to be any sort of easy way out of this. It just seems like, again, these problems just pile up, and I have to mention as well, because a lot of people will be stupid about this and say, oh, it's only trans people. No, straight people, cisgender people all have these problems. It's not unique to any minority. In fact, even disabled people and special needs people have them. Really, they do fucking exist. And you'll be surprised how much they do exist. But there isn't any avoiding it, because guess what? The further we push them away, the harder they come down on us. So that's the situation we're in. If we don't actually stop the problem at its roots, or even prevent it, it's just going to manifest into something very fucking ugly. So it doesn't surprise me when it does happen, in all honesty. It sucks that it does. It will happen just because people don't actually properly address this. And that's why. I don't know what else there is to talk about now, because I pretty much touched on everything. Yeah, horrible scenario, either way. It doesn't help the fact that this is already a minority in itself, it's already under attack. And even given like recent things like ICE being able to target trans women, for example, it's just stupid. It's not even actually trans women, it's people they suspect being trans, so it's not even to do with like a case of, oh, it's just trans women, let's target them. It's also the fact that you can get women who just look more masculine, like by an unfortunate circumstance, and some do. Like a lot of cisgender women can look like men, unfortunately. But whether they realise that or not is a different story, but this is all part of the same plan. They just want a mastery of hot underage girls, essentially. That's what they call them, because it's the US government. And they're obviously pedo-ringing themselves. And that's it. They just want the most attractive people to essentially exist in their country as their sort of master race, or supremacy. It's all about supremacy, and that's what it is essentially. And again, it's really unfortunate, but there we go. I don't think there's anything else to add here, but yeah, I'd better move on because I need to finish this dungeon, Final Fantasy, and then I'll have problems again. Anyway, let's move on. I suppose I haven't talked about this of all things. How am I a Final Fantasy XIV player without playing Final Fantasy games ever? Except for 15. It's an interesting question, but I think it's for the same reason that a lot of people suspect that maybe there is something about the game when you actually do the research. And I remember doing research on Final Fantasy XV initially at first, but at the time that World of Warcraft was at its not peak, but it was popular, at least BFA popularity, and it was shit essentially, that sort of popularity, not good popularity. I started to look into Final Fantasy XIV because I was like, okay, I don't want to play this, I don't really want to try it. I was actually very much against the idea of trying it, because I suspected it would have a lot of the tropes that other MMOs have, and all the questions I made before that, going into this game even, confirmed what I essentially disliked. But then, when I found out that some of the people I knew on Discord, some friends I made, were playing Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, and how good that was apparently. I was curious, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And I didn't like it. Final Fantasy XIV was shite, as was 15, to be fair. It's got some good elements, but bad execution. Yeah, it wasn't amazing, but Final Fantasy XIV was weird. A Realm Reborn is a slog to go through at the start, but eventually it gets better as the story goes on, and I was really impressed with the cutscenes. That was really what hooked me into it on my second time round, and made me realise, oh shit, actually this game has something going for it now. Because it was something that World of Warcraft didn't do, and I was just, yeah, it's just like, yeah, you know what, I gotta give this a try now. It's got quality, and even the story itself was somewhat decent at this point. You're learning about Sid and his Ironworks gear, I can't remember. There's something works, and he was helping us out with the Guardians and the Ascians at the same time as well. So it's like, there's this interesting aspect to the story that definitely hooked me into it to an extent. It's quite fascinating, but that hooked me into it, and even then, as I progressed and played through every bit of content there is, to the point where I'm at like Bosra as the endgame thing, and even doing relic weapon quests for everything except the Realm Reborn because that sucked. I've realised that this game is actually really good, and you don't actually need to know Final Fantasy to know what it's referencing either. In fact, it references a lot of older Final Fantasies here and there, which I didn't even realise until people brought it up, obviously. But it fascinates me because that's quite an unusual decision to make for a game like this. Yeah, how many games have even referenced the old ones? Like, I guess World of Warcraft technically did a bit. Not all the time, but it did have elements of that. I remember certain dungeons where you'd have to rescue, like, I don't know, slave orcs and stuff like that. Yeah, this game references older games, like ones that, as per the Final Fantasy cliche anyway, are quite different to each other. They're never the same game, which is always a fascinating part about Final Fantasy. And that's sort of the appeal for it, I think, as well, because it having different stories allows for so many variations, I guess. But yeah, such as to say that you can enjoy this game even as a player who doesn't necessarily like have it as a thing of the past or anything, like just how many Final Fantasy games there are. So you played 7 once and you want to play this, but you're unsure if you'll be up to date on the story. That's not how it works, actually, because the story is different every time. Different characters, different sort of world as well. The only things that are the same are things like the primals and the Sid and stuff, and the chocobos as well. There are similarities, but they aren't like one for one. They're not a continuation, which is what people would suspect it would be. You know, with how many games this is. But it was almost deceiving that calling this Final Fantasy whatever number, because that isn't a good representation of it. You could have given it another name as well. I don't know, Final Fantasy Party something. I don't know. Think about 7, what I know of that, at least it's about Cloud, isn't it? And this, like, is it neurocapitalism? I can't remember the fucking term for it. It's like climate change and stuff. It's got quite big topics being put into it. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure what I'm saying here, actually. But yeah, like naming that something different, that's actually what I meant. It would be far more beneficial for the games overall, in my opinion. I think only recently they actually did that. They remade Final Fantasy VII game or something, but named it Integrate. I think that's what it called it. I could be wrong. Yeah, that's the point though. It's not really a big deal to know Final Fantasy games or not. There are certainly references here and there, and there are definitely things I'm familiar with, having gone from Final Fantasy 15. I've seen like the Chocobos and obviously Sid, the Primals too. I recognise them. Yeah, it's just like same sort of setting, characters, things. I don't know what you call them, but they're always different. Anyway, let's move on. So less comfortable topic. That's not a nice one. So you've been warned. I completely forgot to talk about this. Just left my mind for some reason briefly, even though it's sort of important. Yeah, when it comes to politics and something I heard about recently about trying to convince people, and the message really wasn't clear enough. One of the interesting things is with what they said about how people were essentially voting to have weaker standards themselves, but also worse for other people. For some reason they hate. So, for example, if it's like immigrants, for example, they want to vote for someone who is against immigrants, even though it's worse for them. But it'll be bad for immigrants as well. So it's like, okay, they just want these people to suffer for some reason, which doesn't make sense in my honest opinion. Because that's just such a petty and childish thing to do. That what the fuck? Are you just trying to get people in worse positions because you disagree with them, don't like the colour of their skin, their ethnicity, what? It just gets fucking ridiculous, and I don't like it one bit. It's such a pathetic reason to vote for someone. And then there's this other thing that we have to consider, which a lot of people do need to acknowledge in reality, which is if you vote for the types of people that are doing this sort of thing, you may never get another chance to vote. I'm not saying that because it's like, oh, they're removing voting rights from X type of people. No, they're just removing your right to vote entirely, no matter who you are. And that's the big concern here. It genuinely doesn't make any sense. So of course you've got this issue where, yeah, like, people are just shit, and they will put you in shit for the sake of, like, this stupid bias, a stupid hang-up even, it could be. Just for the sake of that. They'll compromise everything just to see another suffer, which is really fucking dangerous. Because that means that you won't have any way to fucking enjoy that suffering either. So no, there is no way that even works, even in that sense. Where you do get the worst possible outcomes for your enemy, and a worse outcome for yourself, even just a little. Again, that's not how it works. And you won't even get the chance to see it, because depending on how deep they put you, how much shit they put you through, this political party, whoever it is, it would just get worse, and you won't even have the chance to look because you're already struggling with your own shit. It's like if Nigel Farage, for example, was like properly getting funded by billionaires all over the board, essentially, and essentially the country's run by them, like the US is currently. And you see it at the moment where even people who don't even, or even actually are just like MAGA and support Trump, they end up getting fucked over either way, because guess what? They voted for this cunt, all the billionaires are with him, and there's no rights for anyone. They've literally taken it away from you, and they want to remove anything like the, I forgot what it's called, but you know, basically it's removing your right to vote entirely and having it exist. It's actually absurd. It's just crazy amount of fucking bullshit and just unfairness as well. It is objectively unfair. My god. This isn't hard to figure out. It's just blatantly obvious. Holy fuck. It's how stupid people are and how selfish they can be as well. Not just to see that, but to see people suffer. And I often wondered as well, but this refutes my point, by the way, I'm about to mention. Why don't we just let it happen then? Why don't we just let Reform walk all over us, and why don't we just let Trump walk all over us and see what happens? Like, my challenge to people was to go on their side, essentially. Also, this machinist weapon concerns me. Final Fantasy, murderer. No question. No answer. But no, that's a topic. People are just incredibly stupid and selfish. There isn't really any other way around it. And whilst I did encourage people to go on that vibe of, oh, let's just see what happens with this one, the problem is it's gonna fuck everyone over. As we're seeing with Trump. It's so blatantly obvious that you won't have any rights to see anything go through. You might be seeing, for example, like what ICE is doing, seeing immigrants suffer. The problem is, you're not going to see them suffer all the time. In fact, you don't. If you're not in ICE, or if you're not in those detention facilities, you're not seeing anything. So, you're actually at a disadvantage even from that perspective, as I keep mentioning. It's so fucking ridiculous. There's no benefit for anyone in that situation. And it also just fucks over everyone else. And then you look at something like the progressive side, where even they're not perfect, but at least we can get to the fucking bottom of things in the progressive side. It's quite blatantly obvious, and it's incredibly frustrating as well. Because a lot of these progressive things as well, it's also like a case of, well, why are people so fucked in the head to even want to do this to begin with? And I often wonder what the, I guess that antidote, I don't know what the correct term is, but the antidote solution maybe, is for this behaviour, where they're literally psychotic and prey on people's suffering and death. There is an absurd amount of that. And that's what's concerning. But why the fuck does this happen? And this is what we need to put our studies on now. Because it's not about, again, us versus them, it's about us versus this fucking ideology. Or psychopathy, who knows what it is. It's obviously something that is out of my sort of spectrum, or whatever you call it, wheelhouse. But that's why it's concerning me, and why it should concern everyone else. It's us versus fascists and psychopaths, and even though those are buzzwords and pisses people off, thankfully, as it should. If you're called fascist, you're called it for a good reason. And you have to understand that, otherwise get fucked. Weak pussy ass bitch. As I never thought I'd say. But there you go. Yeah, that's about the topic, I think. I don't really think there's anything else to add. It's disappointment upon disappointment with this sort of bullshit, and no easy way out, no easy solution or anything. So I don't even know really what the best way to go about any of this is. Yeah, that's about it for this topic. Pretty much covered everything. But once again, to repeat it, summarise it, you may never get a chance to vote again. So even if you voted someone who despises the people you despise, it won't mean you get to despise them, because it's not in your control or power. It's not even your authority. It doesn't fucking matter in the end, because there's no benefit in any of these situations. Even then, people just don't have to suffer to even get the point across. you hate black people, do research on the things that they're doing. Simple. That's like the antidote. You look for the truth and you get the truth. It shouldn't be, oh, we see this article that scaremongers maybe, or just fearmongers or anything like that, or rage baits. And yeah, you find out the truth and that's that. Anyway, I'll move on, so yeah. I can't remember if I said, but I did Castrum, whatever it was, in Boss John, and it wasn't great, in my opinion. It was meh. A lot of the mechanics are readable, which is nice. I can appreciate that, but it's just boring. There's more of the same, nothing interesting other than the prisoner bit, which is kind of entertaining. Because you sometimes miss a prisoner, or for some reason, party doesn't split up. Did it with 5 players first, and then did it with what is it? I think like 20, 24, which is insane. Not something you really expect. And I kind of enjoyed it. It was alright in aspects, and as I said, the mechanics were easy enough to read, which again I really appreciate, because sometimes they're not readable and they're just dumb. For no reason, it seems. And the first boss with the top and the bottom was a bit weird. I don't know why people were talking about it. I managed to do top eventually on the 3rd run. There's 2 rounds, and then the 3rd one is like, oh, okay. Alright. And yeah, it's just a similar thing, but you know, it was okay. But when you kill the first top boss or even the bottom, I think some ants spawn, and that's the only difference. But they get removed if you kill the other one, so it's a bit strange. You need coordination, it seems, but I don't know why that's so important. That didn't make sense to me. And then you go into the prison bit where you fight some ants and shit, and there's like a mini boss sort of guy there. The ants can just one shot you for some reason. I didn't get one shot, but others have had that, which I found interesting. It's just not something you really expect, especially when ants are coming out of all things. So that was weird. And then you go up the stairs where you find the prisoners, and then if you find the prisoners, then nothing really changes, I don't think. You do, I think, am I remembering this correctly? I can't remember. I think you find them, I think you have to kill someone at the end of the hallway to progress, if I'm not mistaken. It didn't say that, but that's my guess. And yeah, it's a bit annoying to find, because if you're busy with that shit, it's kind of like, I don't know. Then what else happens? A mini boss comes out, and then you go on to a big boss. And this boss is quite interesting. It has 4 elements, it seems, or 5 maybe? Hang on, it's got water, wind, fire, and electricity and ice. Yeah, so 5. And they will do the things that you kind of expect them to do, which is why I said it's readable. And I quite like that. You know, it's quite obvious that the fire one may be pyretic, and it was, so it didn't do anything. Then the water one was knockback, even though it seemed like wind and water for some reason are interchangeable in the game's mechanics, it seems. I don't know why that is. But yeah, it's kind of easy to figure out. And then obviously wind would be a ring thing, and somehow I knew that. And then the electricity thing, which happens, is on the first one. Well, it was happens actually. And then it seems, yeah, you have to like pair in the middle somehow. I guess shit in the middle, to avoid the damage. So I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it works somehow. So what happens after that? There is some other mechanic, I can't remember what it is it? Not ad phase, but it's like close. Yeah. That's interesting. So we'll just touch this run. I'll explain this as well when I'm done with it. So what's the next thing after that? The boss, you get the personal spores. I forgot about that, you get personal spores. The second boss personal spores are better than the last one. I don't know what the point of the last one is because there's nothing there. In my experience in the 3 runs I did. But you get like, a lot of fragments which are actually handy because they contain deep essence fragments. Deep essence, for anyone unaware of the essence is, it's like the wisdom of this endgame stuff, like in Eureka. Quite like that, but at the same time it's not very useful in a strange way. It's kind of useless in a sense. So what was this? Ring thing, okay. That's a bit strange also. God. Okay. I don't know what's... How the fuck do I even avoid this? Okay, that was weird. It's a strange fucking mechanic. What else? After that, it's on to the last boss, I think. The last boss isn't anything special, I don't think, in my opinion anyway. It didn't seem like there was anything great going on there. So I wasn't sure about it, in honesty. Yeah, this is an interesting mechanic, fucking hell. I probably won't talk about this one, but Jesus, what curveball. That's insane. Not seen anything like that. The final boss, the mechanics are a bit confusing. There is a weird bug with it, the cross one. When it does that cross tag and the ring and stuff, the cross one can hit you even though you're actually out of it. I've got footage of this, by the way. It's very strange. And then you kill the Beast Tamer, obviously, with enough Beast Tamer mentioned. Beast Master, rather, not Tamer. Yeah, there's some strange things with that. I've got a table piece, alright. Then that's it, you kill him, you complete the quest if you already have that ready. Oh god, a trap. Interesting stuff. Also, what fucking cheat, Mikoto just walks through it. Yeah. But you get stupid shit at the end. It's just Boston coins, which you can't even use. I don't know where you use them. I can't figure it out. And I looked it up and it's like gear. But it doesn't do anything. The gear is pointless. It's so fucking bad, it's just glamour. But it's not good glamour. I've looked at it and it's just not for me. So yeah, it's not a great experience, and Bolster is still a pain in the arse to do. It's for grinding, it's bad, and I got to stage 3 by the way. And also got my first memories. Memories of dying, one of them. The one that didn't drop for hammering memories of dying, it dropped for my fate. In that topper part. Topper part, that's the term. Which is handy. Yeah. I'm not that impressed with Bolster farming, especially for the relic grind. It's a bit stupid, and obviously now I'm onto the Delubrum Reginae one. What is this one? The bitter berries are dying, actually seemed alright. Yeah, because you just queue for a dungeon. It's easier to do in the morning for some reason, I don't know why. But you get faster queues. Hang on. Temperature. Right. What the fuck is this about then? Yeah. It's very strange, that is. So I'm not a fan of it, in all honesty. It doesn't really make much sense, at least in my opinion. I could just get one shot like that. Okay, sure. Yeah. Let's move on. Delubrum Reginae. Normal. It's not normal. It's fucking awful. I don't know what they're thinking with this, because it felt like a Savage Raid with some normal mechanics here and there. scattered throughout, and that's because it's very hard to read. It felt like I was playing the Savage version, which apparently exists. And to be honest, I dread the fucking idea. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's just crazy. I don't really understand why that's a thing, and also what is with all these quests. Like, can I just get the next one, please? So yeah, it was a frustrating raid to go through. You might see clips of it in the previous plot, but it's horrible. It's mainly the fact that a lot of things aren't readable. Like the first boss, they do diagonal attacks, which is a new thing I see. Like they always do vertical or horizontal, but never diagonal. So I did like that. That was kind of neat, but hard to read, and the trick is obviously to stand in the middle, so it's easier to move out of the way if you get it wrong. But yeah, it's a standard boss. Other than that, it's similar to the... It's not Heaven's Ward, so is it Stormblood? I get the feeling it's Stormblood, but there's a dungeon in that where you get knocked back by the mechanics, and you have to sort of land on something. I'm trying to find it. I don't think it is that then. Is it a leveling one then? It's not somewhere on there. Never Reap. So remember that. Not that either. That's... It could be Zolftal, but I don't think it is for some reason. I'm really not sure. I'm pretty sure it's not Shadowplay, so that's definitely not Endwalker, because that'd be too late. There's only one. Going to the skies, you fight a guy. Maybe it's Family Ball. Maybe I'm misremembering it. Yeah, it's a strange mechanic, but it works, I suppose. It's not too bad. It's not, I don't even remember what it is then. It's really interesting though. I think it's definitely okay, but you need a group. I did it with 8 players, a group of 8. I did it with the Essence of the Skirmisher, which maybe not the best choice, but that's all I had. I could have done Deep Essence, but I didn't realise until after I pulled that one, so yeah, that's a smart move by me. Yeah. What's next? It's hard to remember. Actually, that's a weird thing. I saw the tank moving slowly and I was a bit confused at first, and then someone walked forward and pulled something and I revealed a trap. So it's a bit like Bloodless in Arsenal. Except this one's very impromptu and not obviously done with a place like Eureka Academy. I don't know if there even is a Posture Academy. If there is, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think there's still some reason for it. So yeah, like what next? There was another boss, but it's like a mini boss. I can't remember the mechanics at all. It's very sort of far away, I guess. Let's see. So one of these stats requires a Castrum. Okay. Interesting. Just spoiled it for me, thanks. Yeah, Delubrum Reginae, there it is. Open that up. Go through the bosses, Trinity Seeker, that's the one I talked about. Dahu. None of these I recognise for some reason. Maybe I just killed it too fast. 5-3 Folded Rocks. No. Queen's Guard, I do remember this strange mechanics. Yeah, I didn't know what was happening really. Somewhat easy to figure out here and there. There's one with the shield as well, and I just followed what other players were doing. I think there was movement as well, like movement abilities if I'm not mistaken. Was that the last one? I think it's the last one. It's not that great. I don't really think there was much going on. It's easier than the rest, I think. But then there's a boss jump Phantom, which is a mini boss, I think. Has to be. And then Trinity Avowed. A lot of Trinities here. But this one was interesting because it's got the hot and cold mechanic. I didn't realise at first that you needed to get rid of it because you can't read the text fast enough to catch up with the mechanics, which is a really bad design choice because there's so much text to read. It's impossible to read it during the fight as well when you're doing rotations, so yeah, I didn't realise that, and then just got one shot, which is stupid in my opinion. I think that's not really teaching you anything. If anything, it's just teaching players to get revived and just go over again. It didn't really matter. I died twice because the second time around, you get this mechanic where it goes through this maze thing. For some stupid fucking reason, you have to dodge it twice or something. But it didn't show me the colours, it showed me just white at first, and then I got a fire one when it was being executed. It just didn't make sense. So it's confusing even from that perspective. It's not very readable. Some of the other mechanics are, but it still wasn't good enough in my opinion. I wasn't sure about this one, that's for sure. And what's this one with the rings? Hang on. Can't be right. Well, I think it is actually. Yeah, because that's the second last one. But there is another mechanic which I thought was really cool, really interesting, but it wasn't well executed in my opinion. It basically did the ring and the line thing, where it like fired them off constantly, and I sort of half expected the ring to just be where it was, you know, at the edge of the arena. And it turned out not to be. It was a moving ring, which I've never fucking seen before. And that killed me because I didn't know where to fucking move. And by the time I figured it out, it was like too much damage and died. So it's technically another one shot. But that didn't help. So obviously the group was a bit slow as a result. That took us 40 minutes, which is interesting. Not too slow, but still could be better. 40 minutes? Was it 30? I should say 30. It's a bit of a stroll. Then we get to the final boss, which had nothing of note in my opinion. Just boring. Not readable either, which is a strange thing. Cleansing Slash gives Doom. According to this, Imperial Critique, Avoidable AoE. Not really relevant. Glow, not sure. Heaven's Wrath, not sure. It's just mainly a case of reading the hands all the things on the floor and then moving away from it or into something, and then we didn't get to see the rest of the mechanics because it died too quickly. So yeah, hot garbage. That's what this was. And I wish it wasn't, but it is. Anyway, I am gonna need to get on with this relic weapon grind because apparently a Castrum one is the way to go with the next step, which is fucking annoying. Or you can do crystal towers, which is fine, but I guess I could do Castrum because it's I suppose a better way to do because it's like quicker, get 5 for it. And it's not random as well. You can do critical engagements and get 1 as well, which is worth doing because you'll get to Castrum eventually. But yeah, I'll just be AFK in this place to be honest, I think. But as for Delubrum, Reginae, I don't like that this is a step for the relic weapon. It's the only reason I did it, because I might have avoided it, if not. And also being resistance rank lower than everyone else is a bit of frustration because everyone gets these buffs and cold potions and I don't have anything. So I was just more like a burden rather than a benefit. And you know, I didn't prepare for this because it wasn't like Bodice in Arsenal where it said, oh, you need to be prepared because this is a punishing duty. I wasn't warned that this one was punishing as well. I prepared like skirmisher and a res thing. I didn't really prepare my buttons though. I like my my swift. It's the funnest ability there. It has to be. And yeah, I need to move on there. Frankly, it could do with a lot of work, and it could do with some tuning. It has to be said. It does need to be tuned a bit better to accommodate newer players like myself. But yeah, that's about it, I think. So let's move on. There's something important I just realised. I'd be surprised if it isn't saying already, but it needs to be one. And here's the reason. Basically, to stop things from existing, you need to resist it. And that means the urge to, well, perpetuate whatever it is that's existing. So it could be anything that you can think of. It could even be like a desire or something to do with someone you know. You never actually realise how common that sort of thing could be. It does happen. But essentially, if you want things to not exist, then you need to resist. That's basically what it is. Like, resist to not exist, or if you don't want it to exist, resist, or something like that. It's some way to fucking word it. I had a better one earlier, but I can't remember what it is. And it's really important, because it actually does matter a lot what we do here with our actions and our desires as well. We can't just let things be the way they are and then complain about it because we're not doing anything about these things. There's so much frustration around even things I was thinking of. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, but something like that vegan teacher, which was a very popular thing initially when the pandemic happened, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And people were very pissed off at her because she made content that annoyed them, which was the entire point. And then I'm just sitting here thinking, you asked for this, didn't you? You gave her the attention. So what did you expect? It's kind of like, what? Are you this dense or what? It's fucking nuts. And the fact that nobody even realised that, nobody brought it up, it shows that people would just rather stay ignorant and find someone to pick on rather than use a rational reason or thoughts to get to the bottom of these things. It's absolutely nuts. And I just don't understand that logic, to be honest. It's so fucking annoying. I don't really get the idea behind giving, well, people the attention that they so want. Genuinely doesn't make any sense. Because in the end it ends up fucking over everyone. And when this stuff happens, you get people even more pissed off for some reason. Gee, I wonder why. So yeah. But this even applies to even things that are just considered wrong or evil, like an urge. I don't know what exactly goes through, for example, a paedophile's head, but if it's something about that, then you have to resist it so that this shit doesn't exist. There's no way around it. And that's the reality here. Yeah, that's the harsh reality. And we can't ignore that sort of thing. You have to resist the thing to begin with, so you don't end up like, well, a criminal or on those awful ones like Trump. You know, it really depends, but you have to, again, have that willpower to fucking resist these things. There's a ridiculous amount of just bullshit here in terms of that, and people really need to step up, really need to give a shit and well, I could keep repeating it, but resist these things. So it doesn't fucking exist. It's just absolute absurdity, and the same with trolls. Whenever I see these like death threat comments, I'm thinking, you just gave a troll what he wants, which is the attention. So I don't really understand what you expected. It generally doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's very strange. I don't really get it though. So yeah, what to even add here? Because I pretty much covered everything I could. It's so disappointing as well when it is something that genuinely shouldn't exist. Like a vegan teacher, hit or miss. But at the same time, there are things out there that get the attention, and I'm kind of like, no. And you know, look at the burger morning situation, for example, which is a recent thing, which people have, taken to mock the CEO. Obviously, I don't blame anyone for mocking them. But you are giving them the attention. You know, this is bad marketing that they put out there on purpose to get attention. To make that, well, try to convince people that they actually want to get people to buy their products, and they only exist because you give them the attention. You know, you have to resist it, hence why I keep fucking bringing this up. That she shouldn't be prioritising this crap. So it never sits right with me when people do this. It genuinely feels like an atrocity is being committed here with regards to that. And why the fuck are we even in this situation? Is because he gave the attention. Well, that's where it starts, obviously. So, yeah, even like animal torture videos, for example, and they were a big thing. I'd say big thing because people were rightfully so angry about it, and honestly, I couldn't give a shit about these situations. Not that I don't care about the animals. It's just they want that attention. They wanted this shit to happen, so it's kind of like what gives, and you realise, oh, it's the attention. And now we're even seeing AI stuff, and that's been recently the urge that people have had to scratch, so to speak. I don't really know how to word it, but literally they scratch this itch with regards to AI, and they pay the consequence for it now. Now they don't like it. I don't find that convenient, when you should have ignored it in the first place. Absolute dingbats. Fucking, what a joke. It honestly doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I better be moving on. Assuming I can't find the saying that I initially had. If you don't want it to exist, then please resist. It's pretty universal advice as well. Has to be said. It does work in a lot of situations. So, yeah, let's move on. So, this is not a good topic to talk about. It bothers me a lot, as it should anyone else really. And it's about just the apathetic epidemic. And yeah, there's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's important either way, because what we're seeing at the moment is, in the world, a lot of pain and suffering in general, and just nothing happening is good. It's quite hard to find anything good to say about the world today, which is a problem in itself. Because ideally there should be good things to say, but we are not obviously seeing that. And as a result, it just gets very difficult. It genuinely seems like there's no way around all the problems that we have, and just the apathy epidemic itself. Because we have to face a lot of the consequences of the apathetic, and really, when it's like an us versus them situation that we are in now, it's really hard to sort of say, oh, well, it's also the apathetic people, but at the same time, we have to deal with the other lot, and basically what's happened as a result of what I'd guess is Trump. We're seeing a lot more apathy and comfort in, well, apathy and hatred, which is not good for us at all, because that's going to eventually kill us, rightfully so, and there'll be nothing left, which I wouldn't agree with. Like, what is there even to fucking say? There's even that thing about Trump supposedly being a KGB agent or something, which would explain a lot, hence the meetings with P, so call him, or it, or I don't know if he is actually human. Like, what the fuck do I even say here? Because it is quite blatantly obvious that the world is in a like problematic situation at the moment, and there's like not much good happening to change it. I just want to see the world be a nicer place and be peaceful. And then having said that, I also want to see it potentially have just a better future for everyone else. It's not just about what I want in the future, it's about everyone else as well, which is where I feel a lot of the apathy sort of comes from. And even if you look like a few years ago, the world has never been this bad, that has to be said, but it's always been a little bad, and that's sort of the sweet spot in my opinion. Could be wrong in that, but it just seems to me like that is the case there. That is why things are the way they are. You know, these things happen for a reason, and even in my series I'm trying to write called Calls Roots, there is even a story about, well, a forbidden art and essentially how that goes punished, because there's a reason why things are the way they are in like the cruelest way possible, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but you pay the consequences for doing something that's forbidden for the reason exactly. It's like equal justice, equal punishment, essentially. But that's full of what I'm not really on about here, about how out of hand it is. I've just got finished watching these Penguins E videos, Whiskerical, I should say, and these videos are not fun at all to watch because it's so frustrating to just see it through. Like, what's wrong today? These things, okay, great. Like yesterday, it was some cunt prankster with a screaming Pikachu in a restaurant, basically creating a nuisance, which would be a sensory hell for someone like me. I'm generally fine without any sort of ear protection, but at the same time, I have wondered, should I take some? And yeah, and this sort of kind of annoys me, but then we get two other stories today, which is the first one, which I'll explain. It's about police officers using AI to not only like identify someone but convict them and put them in prison for 6 months. Apparently a grandmother who did nothing wrong and has lost her entire life because of it. Like, everything about her life, I mean, not died, but she actually lost everything in her life that was pretty much like tying her to comfort. Like, she doesn't have a house, she doesn't have any money, so dog as well. And apparently this happened because of AI. Now you might wonder, where the fuck am I going with this? What do you mean apathetic epidemic, when something like this is obviously the fault of AI? That's where you're wrong. And as most critical will sort of put it as well, it's the fact that there's so much incompetence there. The fact that someone looked at this for, yeah, AI has to be right, and then convicted someone without doing any further investigation, without any proper checking of it. Essentially, it just ruined someone's life because someone thought AI was superior. which is already a sign that we're seeing Skynet. So that is very concerning, to say the least. And where I feel it's apathetic is that nobody in this police force supposedly said, this doesn't seem right. This is just a grandmother and she's babysitting kids, and why are we going to our house with guns across the fucking states? Like, it makes no sense. Something about that just isn't right. And it just goes to show that if we have this reliance on something inferior like AI, we're just gonna fuck ourselves. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going on. Yeah, it does genuinely feel like there is apathy here because there is nothing being done about this problem when it's so obviously a problem. And then we got another thing, which is basically an even stranger situation, which I myself have realised is one of the most dangerous pillars of society that you can actually essentially knock over, which is the like freedom sort of thing. It's hard to explain, but I'll explain that thing I'm referencing here. Another voice crack video highlighting another fucking stupid ass prankster, another arsehole, and this one was feeding laxatives to the homeless, which is very evil in itself, because I imagine most homeless are already starving enough as it is, and then you're gonna flush them of the food, the protein, the body fats, what? Like the fatty foods and stuff that are gonna support them. They're gonna help them through this tough time. And yeah, that's evil for sure, but then you have to look at the other clips and you realise that actually this is really just complete apathy. It's like the world revolves around him rather than any other way around. And that shows a massive problem here, in my opinion. I think that's one of the biggest problems. He just doesn't care how it affects others as long as he gets his way. And like, that's the problem, and people might say that I do the same because of your autism. It's not the same thing. There are people there who get absolute head starts in life and don't even have any trouble with things and still demand more. And they don't even know what contempt even means, as I do. But in my situation, I'm like almost severely crippled by my sensory issues. And that's why I demand so much from people to address them, because they are literally crippling me. It affects my daily life, it affects my motivation. I've put on so much weight from being unable to function in this world. It's taken a toll on me. And even now I've got bowel problems which don't want to go away, it seems. It's like I've almost gone back to when I've lived in my first house and first developed these issues. It literally feels like that. Again, unusual amounts of stomach aches, can't tell if there's a fall or shit. That sort of thing. But as for the prank thing, again it's different because it's someone trying to get content, trying to get attention. Whereas I'm just trying to have basic survival. And I'm not even getting that. Yeah, as the prankster was doing, it's like, I'm giving free pizza to the homeless, basically asking for free pizza, even though they have money and can buy it out of their own pocket. So it's already very strange in that sense. Yeah, it's all sorts of fucked up. And there's not really much else to say on that, to be honest. It's just inherently cruel. But then the next thing which really pushes the point home, hence why I said it was a sort of societal pillar that you do not ever push, because it is fucking dangerous, and it's the same as what's going on at the moment with people just essentially trying to get away with anything that they want. You know, like UK gangs, particularly like white British people, because that's what they are, trying to pick on people of different religions or different races, and essentially kidnapping their children to rape them. Yeah, and that's a normal thing here, for now anyway. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's really fucking shameful, and yet they're public about this. They don't care, and nobody else seems to care either, which is the more concerning thing. It's not like Democrats exactly. They do care. I've noticed, at least with people who are progressive or left-leaning, there's a lot more empathy there, but for everyone else it's like, oh fuck them, for the religious people, they deserve it. As if that's a justification for raping children. It's absolutely nuts, and similar, not really similar, but in the same sort of vein. You got this guy who's doing these pranks, who's openly public about it, showing it, obviously, who's just fucking over everyone by causing trauma, by getting in their way. And what he did was make his own Chipotle bowl behind the counter, where only staff can really go. And the employee was just confused about it constantly until towards the end, where he starts to try to push the guy out. And the customer's not even sure what to think, because, yeah, I don't much to think on that. It's just another arsehole, it seems. But this is a problem. This guy has realised that you can essentially get away with anything, as long as it's not, like, absolutely harming someone. Physically harming them, although technically has, with a laxative thing. But it's still so evil and cruel in its own way. It's like going behind the counter of, I don't know, a Tesco and then scanning your own items. Like, when there's someone there, it's just so fucking off-putting and wrong. Like, anyone can do that, by the way, but there's a reason why people don't do it. We've understood that these things can be either highly traumatic or just not even worth doing. It could even be illegal. In some places, it depends. I'm not sure in the UK, but I'm pretty sure it is in other places, as per someone who's actually fought out the law. Yeah, it is extremely frustrating, as I said. That's one of the problems when these pillars are just suddenly removed. It's like, oh, okay, well now we don't actually have a thing tying us down to essentially follow the rules here. It's like never any fucking thing about, I don't know, just being nice to anyone. There's never anything about that anymore. People just don't follow the rules, and I don't blame people for not following the law, because the justice system fails and it also doesn't address the real problems. But we need to follow some sort of rules in society and some standards. Hence a lot of these things, and I think when it's demonstrably wrong, demonstrably provable, depending on what it is, then we have good reason to have that be a permanent rule, a permanent standard. Much like the child-related crimes, or crimes against children rather. That's, again, something that people seem to think they can get away with, and they unfortunately do, because it's just an inherently evil world. And then we've also got this issue of people trying to enact revenge upon a certain group, or essentially it's just greed, and they don't care what it takes. And I have one small confession to make on that. There is one thing that can corrupt me, but it is very hard to achieve, especially in regards to the current climate, and this corruptible thing is not a good thing at all, not for society, not even for people. But I'm not exactly sure how to address that, because in a sense it's just tied to my being, and I just can't help with it, essentially. There's no changing it, which really fucking sucks, because I literally have considered suicide because of this problem. And I don't think it's as devastating as other things, but it's still absolutely fucking terrifying. And that's the thing, because people are corruptible as well. It adds to the problems, adds to these issues. And we can't really avoid that. I think when someone's corruptible, it's quite easy to know. Because they'll just sort of do things that are out of the ordinary. And yeah, I don't really know what else to add to that. I think I've covered pretty much everything. So yeah, I think I will move on. Not really anything else to say. So I just finished the Demon Slayer. Hashira training arc. I almost forgot the name. This is the best arc so far. I think it's had. It has good character development. It has good animation, obviously, as you can expect. It's a very good animation. Voice acting is good too. Though I don't really notice anything that noticeable, but it's still nice. What else is there? Story-wise, it's actually really good. Character-wise, obviously, it's great. It's pretty much what it's about. It's about the characters and expanding on them. And it's one of the most interesting last episodes of the series. It's peak. Like, it's literal fucking cinema. It's that good. And I haven't been disappointed with it in any point, I don't think. But it's just been consistently interesting and dropping like little tidbits, pardon me, here and there. And it has some great humour too. Like, it has those moments in it. And I do find it quite good. There isn't really much else to say on it, really enough. It's quite short and brief, and yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting the last episode to be like that. But that does lead on to the next arc, which is Infinity Castle. And I saw this coming, unfortunately, because of the nature of looking for a series like this. You do tend to find the next in the series, and that does spoil things a little bit, which is always kind of a problem. I don't really know an easy solution for that, but to me it just, yeah, it's not good, but it's not bad, but either way. So what else is there? Also, how did this guy get up there? I think it was definitely the best series so far. Season of I keep saying series for some reason. And it definitely proved itself really good, really consistent. I don't think you'll be disappointed with it if you are a fan of Demon Slayer. And I think, even if you're not a fan of it, I think it's also got things there that people will like. It's actually fucking crazy. I will say, artistically, I will say Tanjiro's design was a bit weird here. Because I didn't really bring it up in my notes, but to me it felt like they could have done a better job to an extent because of the nature of what the series is. It does feel a bit like, I don't know, not uncanny, is that the right term? You know what I mean? If you see it, if you look up like Hashira training arc Tanjiro, and you'll see what I mean. It's kind of fucking weird. Yeah, I think other than that, it's actually pretty solid, in my opinion. Like, I don't even know what to add. It's honestly just good. And I don't really have any flaws with it, to be fair. Some interesting backstories and ideas, and also figured out something from the last arc. Like two things actually related to you know who, G and whoever the other one is. It's just interesting moments scattered throughout, and great action too, where there was action. Yeah. And that's just extremely entertaining, and funny. It seems to have a really good place with the humour. It's weird. I don't usually find anime humour, especially ones as flashy as this, to be that great. But here it seems to be quite good, even though it is flashy. It actually lands. It's not like just a, oh, your pants came off, ha ha ha. There's more than that. It's actually telling you a fucking joke, which is, as far as I know, it's new. It's great to have. It's good that an anime is doing that, but also, much like the rest of the series, I just love the fact that they don't fucking like piss around with this whole like, oh, let's just make something evil for evil's sake sort of thing. Like with the villain, and even just the the person in charge. But you'll see what I mean later on. It's just so nice to have that twist, where usually it's like, I'm angry, let's fucking kill you, and instead it's something else, which completely caught me off guard. I haven't really seen anything like that in a while, especially in anime like this. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, I don't even know what to add exactly. So I swear I just saw that symphonic or whatever you call it. Not speaking today. Yeah. But that's pretty much the gist of it though. It's great arc. Honestly, strongly recommend it. And now I'm going to make a review of the series, which I'll write probably at first. Damn it. Yeah, that just ended. Yeah, I'll like write a review, but then my things of 2026, wherever that is. There it is. I don't know where you went. It's definitely one of those things of 2026, has to be said. It's exceeded my expectations, or lack thereof. I didn't have high expectations going into it, but now, as the stakes get higher in the series, it does feel a lot more tense and a lot more interesting for that matter. And also, I'm just interested in the reasons behind what happened at the end of Swordsmith arc. I'm interested in how they'll deal with Muzan. I'm interested in a lot of things, like even the fate of, well, at the end of the episode you'll see. It's quite, I would say it's unexpected, but it's somewhat sort of in the dark, I guess, in some ways. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. Just concerning. Just something that happened in Final Fantasy 14, and it's annoyed me since it happened. Well, it's not two things. The first thing is the thing that happened. I was just doing my not dailies, weeklies, and I need to check the Rock Galactic in the HD moment. Oh god, what's wrong with Steam? For some reason it's oversaturated and bright. Can you load? Okay, there's no Easter event yet. But the problem is, I was in a game, I was doing Circus Tower? Circus Tower, I can never pronounce it, for some reason. Because I just picked the free and it was for the Wondrous Tales. I was playing White Mage, which was a mistake, it seems. Because White Mage at level 50 is absolute trash, and I was even thinking before that, maybe I'll just play Dragoon, because Dragoon is much better than White Mage, especially at level 50. We go through with minimal problems, but there is one in the, actually not the first boss, for some reason it's actually helpful, this tank that becomes a problem later. Tries to help another player, but essentially I was having trouble healing everyone because everyone was so spread out. There's like no range on White Mage, it seems. So that was a struggle. No idea what to do there. But nobody died somehow. Bloody miracle, it has to be said. Because usually you die of a White Mage, I think. And the worst thing as well, there was another White Mage. it wasn't just me, it was the other fucking healer. So we're at a disadvantage there. I don't know why the game queues like that. It's a bit stupid. I think they could do a better job of that. We need variety in that, because sometimes these abilities stack and sometimes they don't. And White Mage doesn't really stack, but in the same vein, it's better to have someone else as well. Someone else, Scholar or Sage or Astrologian, any one of them. It's a better combo, and it's probably more spread out as well because you have different abilities. So yeah, we get through most of the content anyway without much problems. Me being sleep deprived as fuck, I was struggling to concentrate. My watch is about to die, so I'll quickly revive it. Fuck's sake. And what else? Got to the last boss, which is where problems began. For some reason our tank took over tanking as a paladin, which I remember don't really have any abilities that can help in tanking at that point, which I never realised until much later when I did some roulettes with tank, I think. Paladin, I mean. So, last boss seemed to take the fucking tank out really quickly. In the same way. I don't even understand how he went down so quick. But it's like low health. Got to 1,200 out of, I think, 8,000. Was it? Was it 100 out of 1,200? I don't know, but I'd say what, 8% health, which is really low. And it wasn't because we didn't notice, it's because it just went down that quick. And then I had to obviously use my Restore All ability because there's no way I could cast in time to save him. So there that went. And then we got the next few mechanics in there. That. Obviously that soak thing, and then an AoE circle, which is where the problems began again. Because even though I put a regen on the tank after doing the restore just to keep it topped off, it didn't do anything. And the tank took more damage. So when this big circle AoE that I was too close to came in, I had to move, and the tank was about to die. And I only realised that last second. I had Swift Cast, yes, but I'm sleep deprived, remember. I didn't think to use that. So the tank ended up dying, and I tried to cast just before he did, and that's the problem. White Mage is too casty. There's not enough abilities at that level, or just in general either. So it's just kind of weird. So that ended up being a problem. And the tank lashed out at us. Said like, why are you no heal? And I did come up with a stupid excuse, which I'm kind of wrong about to an extent. It's like, Mage has no abilities at level 50, which is true, but I could have cast it and also took the circle AoE, which would have saved my life as well, but I didn't look, and that's my problem. I'm sleep deprived, but there's not much I can do about that. So and then some arguments back and forth, and then the tank claimed to be a White Mage main. Doubt. And being a main doesn't mean you know everything about a job. In fact, I've found many people who main a job and don't actually know. So it's ridiculous. I don't know much about White Mage because it's not my longest played job. It's somewhat secondary, I think. So it's not really a big thing for me anyway. And I'm more used to it at level 80 rather than level 70 or 50. And actually I did play at level 70, but you don't make any sort of that ability, I forgot what it's called. For some reason you can't actually make that ability work. At level 70 it's I found confusing, because it felt a bit off to me. Like it should have actually happened, I'd say, associated with it, but no. Then what happens? Yeah, it's just more arguments, and then I think someone in chat, I'm not sure who it referred to, just said, like, it's just a game. Like, and I said no biggie, but I misspelled it. Because it isn't really a big deal. It's fucking Circus Tower, for fuck's sake. It's not even the hardest content there is. It's not even an Endwalker raid, where that would be a bit more punishing, a bit easier. It's not even Heaven's Ward, which would be harder in my opinion. So it's not really a good excuse to even lash out at players. And then the second thing that happened, which I sort of looked to after, I started to look up, why is YMH so abysmal to play at level 50 and not much comes up? I've seen people say that it's a struggle, but not because of the fact that it's level 50 and there's no abilities, it's because of the gear. And also people thinking QR1 is still useful, which it's not, unless you're out of mana. But it's so strange to me. Also, if you're a pocket as well, that's where QR1 is helpful. That ended up being such a strange encounter to me because, yeah, why the fuck is this even a thing to begin with? The White Mage is just objectively bad design from level 50 up to level 80, as we can see, where level 80 is, in my opinion, a superior White Mage than what it should be at level 50, because it has a fundamental feature, the lily pads and that ability that attacks. And I think that's pretty much the White Mage identity, in my opinion. You know, other than the odd pocket heal here and there, and also damage reduction, which is crazy because not many barrier healers have that. Yeah. But other than that, I looked at a new subreddit I hadn't seen before, which is FFXIV discussions, and you know, one of the posts on there is this community is actually toxic. It wasn't actually worded like that, but it was basically about toxicity, and it brought up everything I'd fucking encountered. Like how there's so many tryhards and how many people are just toxic in general in the game, and it's not actually as friendly as people say it is, which I think was the title actually. And reference that it was a few years ago, and yeah, I do see that. But I'll be honest, I think the reason that people, as I have to keep mentioning as well, I've said this many times before, but the reason people are toxic and so tryhardy is because they're racing against time and a limited resource, essentially. So for example, I need to do these relic weapons for Shadowbringers, and I'm not bothering to do it with a group because I need to go soon, but I'm also not really bothering because I've got other things to do in my life. So I might as well just sit here and wait for the next critical encounter so I can stack the loathsome memories of dying. And then later on I'm going to need to do Delubrum for the time-worn artifacts. Yeah, there isn't really anything else to add there. I'm just stuck here, and this is a problem with the game. Yeah, it took me 4 hours to do the step leading up to a new path of resistance quest there. And it gave me sleep deprivation somehow, because I think I was staring at the screen for too long. I don't know how I managed it, because I always take eye breaks. But I just forgot yesterday or something, or maybe I just had too much coffee, because I had coffee in the morning. I always do like 2 teaspoons, but it seems to do too much for me. That's where I sort of got that caffeine sensitivity from, I think, where I thought I had it. But either way, it just makes me realise that I'm getting burnt out with this again. And the fault here is just entirely on HYPE and any other game designer and director sort of associated with this game. It reminds me of World of Warcraft a lot, because on one hand you have a director or designer who's kind of respectable in some ways, does seem to come off as a decent guy. Well, I'm not sure about World of Warcraft's one, as Castrum. I could be wrong about that, because I didn't really hear much about him in the whole Active Blizzard drama stuff that happens around that time, actually, I think it was. Which is good, because it would have made him a worse person. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he's not good for this game, and it feels the same here in Final Fantasy XIV, because whilst you can make a lot of good decisions and have a good direction, you're not the best, and I don't think you ever will be. That's one of the things you have to come to accept. And on top of that, you shouldn't even expect to be like rewarded for all the decisions you make. You have to accept criticism where it lands, because that criticism is crucial. It does matter in the end. It helps shape your game. It makes it what it is. Like Deep Galactic, I'm pretty sure became what it is because of criticisms. The developers worked hard on it, as you can see, and it became an amazing game that everyone loves, and for good reason too. Yeah, what else do I even add? That's literally all it takes. So honesty, taking critiques and stuff, and then you just have a less toxic game, a less toxic environment. You have so many good things if you just listen to players and also give players an easier time. I think making things difficult and grindy on purpose is a bad way to do it. It does take a tax on mental health. As I said, I got sleep deprived last night because of the Shadowplay is where they grind. Of all things, I spent 4 hours getting all 36 of those memories of dying for that one-time quest. And I did that on Blue Mage, which sped it up, thankfully. But I was tired, and then I couldn't get to sleep. And then I lost sleep because I woke up early, and I couldn't get back to sleep. So it just all comes back around and fucks up everything. But the way to fix that grind is to remove that step entirely. Shocker, I know. But it's also to fix other steps, like the memories of dying should drop better from everything. Posture and even the face should drop more. Second step as well. That is the second step done. I can't remember what the first step was. I don't know, it's something. But there are steps that need improving. Same with Eureka. It needs cheaper relic weapon costs so that players can enjoy it and also not waste their fucking time. That's why people get so mad. That's why when I was playing, for example, to do all the fates in a Dawn Trail and get the Sugar Glider, I was getting frustrated because the fates were being fucking done by someone else who wasn't in my party. He was prioritising the bonus fates for some stupid reason, so I couldn't do them. It felt like a big conspiracy, and that's why players get toxic. Limited resources and limited time. Thankfully I was only there for 2 weeks, but I don't know what happened there, but I think I've got to wrap this up anyway. Yeah, I thought someone was doing something somewhere wrong. No idea. But pretty much that's why Burnout happens in games like this. It happened to me in World of Warcraft and it's happening to me here. Because it's too grindy. Players don't want to go through all these fucking steps. And it's frankly boring. Easy way to fix it is what you did in Endwalker. Poetic Fall. You have a reason to do Duty for that, you have a reason to do content like this, like Posture. Well, you've got so many ways to get the poetics and earn things over time. That's how you fix every single grind in this game. Have everyone do everything once, and then buy the rest. Simple. I fix your fucking game. Again. I don't know why this is so hard to fucking understand. This is why I question the game designer and director's integrity here. Because it just doesn't seem honest, it doesn't seem genuine. It literally just feels like a place for people to fucking suffer sometimes. Some of the difficulties of the game and the grinds in it. Like nobody wants to fucking partake in this shite. It's bad. And there's grinds I don't even do. Around Reborn, for example. Savage Raid, for example. Extreme trials of relevant content, the same with Savage Raid. What? Only like endgame stuff. There's a reason why I avoid it. Because it's a waste of fucking time. I don't care that there's an award attached to it, a reward. Rather, it's not worth my time. And not worth the effort either. because people are just going to be toxic as fuck. They're going to leave if you wipe once. They're not going to be willing to help you to learn. There is nothing there for me. As a casual player, it's worse because the things I want to do casually cannot be done casually. They have to be done alongside these people, and that's the problem. Again, conflict of interest and putting people outside of their comfort zone. And for me, the comfort zone is a well-designed game, and it's the ideas as well, which it has, sure, in Final Fantasy's case, but it doesn't always have it. And that's why it leads to Burnout in the end. You know, it is objectively a good game. It doesn't change the fact it has bad elements. And I think it always will, as long as these things remain unchanged. You know, I'd much rather there be a change now, where some raid crimes are much easier, rather than the current ones. So Realm Reborn, I'd rather do that all once, and be able to buy it with Poetics. Same with Heavensward, same with Stormblood, same with Shadowplay. And obviously, well, the last two were that, but that shows us that it is possible. It's possible to enjoy and have fun with that grind as well. So yeah. But what the fuck are we doing here? Why are we not listening to the community anymore? This is exactly how World of Warcraft went down, so good job, I guess, Square Enix and Yoshi P. You've lost a lot of customers by your own hands because you can't design the game properly. Great. Well, yeah, I mean, I've had as much gaming experience. It's just so fucking annoying. Yeah, I've got to move on now. Got to go now, so let's move on. So, I got two interesting topics in a row, I think. Yeah, two. Both gaming, sort of. First one, Nvidia DLSS 5. It isn't cooked, it's stopped. And that's the kindest way of putting it, because I am not fucking happy with this at all. I remember quite a few years ago, even back when Crysis was a benchmark for gaming, we could only salivate over the idea of a game having realistic graphics and also hardware good enough to play. And, well, it's done that about 6, 7, fuck's sake, about that many faults over in recent years anyway. So, like, it plays like Cyberpunk as a benchmark, and we've got hardware that's so good it doesn't really have an issue with it. So, yeah, it's quite interesting, in all honesty. But what I find really frustrating about DLSS 5 is that it creates this possibility of having ultra-realistic graphics and even just things that make it look different. It's not necessarily like realistic, but just different. And whilst I can commend it to an extent, it does really frustrate me in the sense that this shouldn't really be a thing. Like, realistic graphics is a niche thing for sure, but I'm not really that into it myself, and I don't think many others are either. I think the problem with realistic graphics is we need the hardware to keep up with it, and that means hardware that's accessible. Whereas at the moment, I don't think we actually see a case where the hardware is accessible, so it really makes it a struggle to even find anything. Good now, because everyone's looking for realistic graphics or fancier graphics, which in itself are an issue. Yeah, it's a bit strange to me. So yeah, what do I add? Like, DLSS 5 seems to be changing graphics, and I see benefits to it, but also see very bad potential with it, because it is essentially creating AI artwork. And gaming, as I said a long time ago, is a near perfect form of entertainment, because it has everything, except for smell. but it occupies most senses, and that in itself is an impressive feat, worthy of commendation. And that honestly should be commended, and that's why it's such an art form. Even like with how games like vibrate your controller, even though it sounds dumb to even mention, because it's like, oh, all of them do that. Not all of them. I think some do. It's quite rare. But like the controller vibration is like another element. It's like more realistic as well. So if you're driving a car in a game and you do like a crazy ass drift, literally it matters when you drift, and you can feel it. And you can even get gaming seats, you can get steering wheels. It occupies your senses visually, like feel wise, and you can even do it I think sound wise, obviously. That's one. I thought there was another one for some reason. It's just so interesting that this is a real thing. And gaming as an entertainment form is honestly pretty goated. It always has been. And that's obviously because of just it being so well to make, and it even ages well to an extent. So it's just kind of nuts in that sense. It's very interesting. But there's a lot of things to take note of there, and I don't know why people take this for granted, and that's really an art form we can't get rid of. I'm sorry I'm not explaining it well. But it is an art form, and as a result we need to respect what it is. It's an art form of interaction, sound, visuals, even feelings, because it can play a role in that. You can feel something for any sort of game. I remember some of the saddest games I've seen in my life end up being quite impactful, like the end of Undertale, or the I'm trying to think, To the Moon. Anyone remember that? I remember PewDiePie playing that and being really sad by the end. It's just like, oh my god, it's a really depressing game. And there's even stuff like I forgot what it's called. It's not Dragon's Dogma, is it? There's some game that's like incredibly sad, because it's like about children who died and stuff. It's quite interesting. That's the art of it. Even though it's sad, it's got meaning. It's got heart, and it does matter what happens there, and what sort of art forms we have to express these things, these stories, these feelings, whatever it may be. It's why games exist. It's a way to express yourself and find enjoyment too. It's quite a big deal if you haven't figured it out yet. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add there, but creating realistic graphics isn't like the best thing in the world, because it just sucks. Like, we don't need it. And then apparently the controversy, as I heard from lessons in internet culture, is that it requires two RTX 5090s to fucking run it. Are you kidding me? Who can even fucking afford that in this day and age? What fucking load of crap. Like, seriously. And I don't even like the current DLSS, because even then, like, not current, but 3.0, when that was a thing, when it was less AI, but even then I had issues with it. And it's been okay for like FPS performance and stuff, but it's not been good for image stuff necessarily. So this frame generation stuff is kind of quirky, and that's where it's going to be at, I think, for a long time. But then adding this AI shit on top of it to make it look more realistic, or maybe even have anime graphics of all things, it's just not going to help anyone. It's not going to do anything for games. It's going to be more taxing. And even though you could probably make something like, I don't know, for example, a really old game, where it'd be better, in my opinion, you could remaster an old game, and that would make it so much easier. That'd make it much better to look at. I'm trying to think of old games that I enjoyed. Like maybe some of the Sonic games, not like Pixel, but 3D Sonic. Obviously, it'd have to be. But there's other ones as well. I'm pretty sure. Like Half-Life 2. I imagine that. We get the Half-Life 3 leaks. It's just someone making screenshots of Half-Life 2 with DLSS 5. Yikes. That's gonna happen. That's inevitable. Try to ignore. Yeah. So I'm not really that happy. Again, it's not cooking, it's slop. That's all it's ever gonna fucking be. Because this shit is just out of hand. And it's only a matter of time before people even mod it to make it just Guna stuff, because like, this is what people fucking want nowadays. It's gross, but that's gonna happen anyway. They're gonna find ways to, much like Grok, unclothe children in games. It's fucking gross. I literally do not understand how anyone can support this. It genuinely doesn't make any sense. Because all paths lead to that, and it's just a danger to everyone. And even this recent most critical video about no one being safe from AI. There's literally a case where people might be able to mod, or even use it to put people into things that they shouldn't even be in. It's like, I don't know, some weirdo fucking putting their sister on a porn actress's face. Like, we already have deep fakes for sure, but in a game where there's like nudity and stuff, like, I see that being a disaster. It's fucking nuts. Genuinely, it is crazy stuff, and it doesn't really have a place in society, in all honesty. Just doesn't help things in the slightest. So I don't really know what else to add, but yeah, if we're not cooked already, then we are now. Because that shit's happening, and I don't know, more things are going to come of it. And what's next? DLSS 5 of, I don't know, World of Warcraft. Like, that'll make it look better, to be fair. Because I'm actually a big critic of the World of Warcraft graphics. Not the art style. I think the art style is very niche. I don't like it myself, personally. But it doesn't fit the game setting, in my opinion. So yeah, it's not great. Yeah. It's very strange. I don't know where I stand, but I better move on now. So I've got stuff to do. I've got prisoners to save in this game. Seems. Yeah. So anyway. Better move on. So I'm gonna have to get that FFXIV limiter back on again. Because, hang on, I've had this image before in OBS, just remembered. God damn it. Oh well. I'll keep it for a while. I might consider something else later. Anyway, Final Fantasy 14, and what happened to be like nights and weeks of just not really caring about my hobbies and sleep and stuff. And I've got to admit, it's probably my fault, to be honest, that I've gotten that far. But the Eureka one, at least, was justified. Because Eureka is hellish, and without putting that time in it, I wouldn't have gotten the 3 weapons I did in the amount of time I would have wanted. So I felt like that was somewhat important in a way. But I'm so fucking annoyed at the fact that this game just has very grindy elements, and then it leads on to these things that I've encountered myself, where I'm ending up staying up until about 0 o'clock in the morning, because I use a 24-hour clock. I know, I'm weird, not surprised either. But I stay up until then, sometimes playing this, because I'm trying to get things done as quickly as possible. And I think the situation I had last night was really hypocritical, and even just the past few weeks actually with things happening on and off. But I do spend too much screen time and even game time in the game doing stuff like this, and I initially set out to complete all my goals, which was like leveling and stuff, and be done with it essentially. Then put 2 hours a day into the game, which Eureka unfortunately changed because I needed to put the time in to get somewhere, to do it faster and essentially more patiently as well. Because it is a game of patience essentially, any MMO is. But I feel like it definitely has some bad execution in terms of gameplay. The drops from Eureka were, after Animos, it was abysmal. It was so fucking bad. Animos is an RNG thing though, but you can get really lucky, and I did, I think 3 times or 4, and I managed to get all the weapons quite easily. I wanted to, there's 4 weapons I wanted there. Well, also 3 that I upgraded later, but yeah, it was a reasonable grind and I rated it 8 out of 10. I remember this is actually doable. It's actually something you can do yourself and try, and you get like protein crystals. Yeah, that's it, protein crystals for it, for spawning these fates, and then it just makes sense. But then they changed it in Pagos, and you no longer get crystal drops, which is shitty. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? And then obviously as it went on, like the boss drops as well, a bit annoying, but you could buy them at least. I ended up doing that in Pagos, I think. But spawn the fates, and some of the fate spawning were fun. I remember enjoying, for example, what was it, Cassie? Cassie was fucking fun because of the mobile things that obviously give you all those debuffs. It's kind of funny to see them all just scatter and stuff. Also just seeing them go down quickly is quite satisfying as well. But I've always found that kind of fun. That's a fun grinding aspect, is when someone groups everything. And we have the Logos abilities as well. Do you? No, that was Pyros, wasn't it? Pyros, yeah. But you got everything together, and yeah. It was this thing, but I didn't like it. Pyros was better because you had the logo system. It really helped. It turns out you can pretty much group everything and solo it as a DPS, which is nuts. It made spawning easier, but the crystal drops were much less frequent. I have to admit that. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. That's a bit weird. And then obviously Hyperskys, which was the worst one of all of them, and it wasn't necessarily because of the difficulty of things. In fact, it's kind of easy until actually there wasn't really any difficulty, to be honest. It's just tedious, and you just have to try and figure out how the fuck to even get to these things and spawn them. But on top of that, the worst thing, much like Pyros, the crystal drops were much less frequent. I'd rather them be all the same and then a harder difficulty getting these things, but I don't know. I just feel like these grinds are unnecessarily difficult, and that's why I put my time into it. And then you've got the craziest scenario with what is now the Shadowbringer stuff. And this is a similar hellish sort of grind, and I need to go through step by step again. I might as well do that now actually. I'll do a reminder. So because there's different steps and there's only about 6 weapons in total that you can get from this, because the wiki is incorrect. The image is missing 2 weapons of each. But I really need to rate this, so let's go for it. So step 1. Step 1 was the Tombstone grind, which is fine. Like, honestly, I'll rate that 10 out of 10. That's how it should be. It's a passive grind it can be done over time, and then you can do it while leveling, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it's good. It's easy enough. I like it. A bit more expensive than, say, a mandatory weapon, but it's still a start. It's better than nothing, really. Even then I gave Endwalker a 9 out of 10 because it didn't feel like there was anything to Endwalkers other than a great quest line, which actually, I don't know, would I give that a 10 out of 10? Because you needed a great quest line to get to it, but I guess that can be an issue for some, so I'll keep it 9 out of 10. Based on that, even though I enjoyed it, it's kind of difficult to justify given the amount of time you need to put into it. Anyway, step 2, Shadowbringers. Before finding out that it was doable with Fates in Heaven's Vault, I thought it was terrible. The drop rates in Bolster were abysmal, and I'd give it a 3 out of 10. Even though you could do it faster with groups, it was hard to find groups, simply put, so it wasn't generally worth doing. But then I went to Heaven's Ward and put on Blue Mage, got it all done, at least the last half, in one day. So for me that gets I guess it's too grindy. I think it should be like 10 each. At least it's guaranteed, but I'll say 6 out of 10. It's as generous as I can be, because even though it's guaranteed, like its Fates, it's just not optimal enough in my opinion. So, step 3, Stepsister. This one was awful as well, because it was mainly to do with the grind, because you can get it by killing enemies, and this is where the first bit of misinformation comes from in the game, by the way, because it isn't just critical engagements or defeating enemies in Bolster, it's also Fates. So, well, it's Fates, I mean, but skirmishes, not Fates. I keep calling them Fates, but skirmishes are the correct term in Bolster. So they do drop from there, and the problem is, it's very rare. However, you can do dungeons and leveling roulette once, but dungeons you could do multiple times at level 60, and that gives you them, but you have to contend with the queue times, which can be hellish, and I need to go to the toilet quite badly now, so it's probably rating quick. I think it's about a 6 out of 10 again. It's doable, but long grind, long queue time, and that's not good. So yeah, that needs to change for sure. Hang on a sec. Keep getting a lot of false alarms with these bell habits. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's hellish though. Anyway, what step was on? 2, 3, so I'm on 4 now. Step 4 is an interesting one, but I would actually rate it somewhat high, because the fact you can do it with the Castrum, Lacus, Litore, critical encounter is good, and that allows you a lot more freedom as well, because you get to level up in Bolster, you up your resistance rank, and you do a lot of things basically. It's beneficial to do it, and it's better than doing an alliance raid. But on top of that, you can get from critical engagements, and as I discovered earlier, I think you can get it from Fates as well. The same with the step 3 one, which is not even sort of mentioned that it does. Yeah, you can get the drops on that. It's better to do the Castrum one because it's better for time and better for even difficulty. It's about 20 to 30 minutes of gameplay. So at most it's like 15 maybe, at least, I mean. And yeah, that's assuming everything goes well, because it can sometimes go disastrous. You need a decent enough sized team, because otherwise it just gets really out of hand. We've had the colossal spawn once, and it literally just made everyone leave. There's only 6 of us, and yeah, not surprising. Was it 4? I think it's 4 actually. 2 top, 2 bottom, and actually it's 1 top, 3 bottom, and yeah, the one at the top was a fucking idiot, I think. thought I could solo it, but anyway. Yes, a better step, so like I said, 8 out of 10 for me. Actually, it's just a matter of waiting for the Castrum to spawn and then getting in a group. And then we get into the first one-time grind, so I'll do like a first one-time grind. And this one is a weird one because I did the fates rather than alliance raids, even though the alliance raids give a bit more, technically speaking. My problem is I don't have the time for that, and looking back on it, I don't know, like, is it quicker? I don't actually know for certain because it's hard to sort of identify. It's quite weird, so I don't know if it's faster or slower. I know the Stormlord one will be, but I did the fates and I got it in 4 hours, which is where we get onto the topic, which is a bit of a problem. But I'd have to rate it for the fates alone because I haven't tried I can't do it actually anymore because that's how I did it, the alliance rates. But fates, it has to be a 2 out of 10. I'm gonna put it low because it's unnecessarily grindy, even for a one-time grind. But Jesus Christ. And the thing is, I'm not even finished with this. There's 2 more steps after the next one, which is step 5, which is where you get the first glowy weapon. Well, proper glowy weapon, rather. And this is a hellish thing as well. It took me today, on reset day, I'll try tomorrow, because maybe I'll change, 30 minutes to form a group, which might not sound bad, but you have to remember you need to do 15 of these. Not 15, I mean 5. 5 Delubrum Reginae? I don't know how you say it. You could do Palace of the Dead, but I don't like Palace of the Dead. It sucks. So I don't want to pay it for that, and the random drop chance is just there. No way. But Delubrum Reginae, it can be fast. You need a proper set of obviously fragments. Like literally, you need to be able to do that, I guess. So like, how do I explain this? I think a 6-1-1 comp is the way to go. Obviously 1 tank, 1 healer, and that's all you need, technically speaking. There's never enough damage or dying that it really warrants the extras. So it just makes the most sense. So it's quite interesting, but it's still grindy. Because that Delubrum run took about 33 minutes, I'd say. And that's still quite a long time. It's more than a fucking alliance raid. Like, come the fuck on. It's actually absurdly long, and that's with a proper comp. 2 healers, 2 tanks, 4 DPS. Which again, you don't need. But you also need to take into account, you need trappers, you need people with specific things. Like, if you go no healer, you need a dispeller. And even if you go no healer, you need someone who's able to resurrect you as well. Which is why it's useful to have like summoner or red mage on the team. That helps for sure. And you need someone who could just do pseudo healing every now and then where needed. But it's a slog either way, because apart from the party, this is the other thing. You need to queue for 10 minutes. So I've wasted an hour and 10 minutes on this fucking one part of the step. So I need to waste what? How much more? Times up by 4 hours and 40 minutes. Getting just one fucking relic weapon on this, and I find that absurd. And it's probably going to be worse times because just of the nature that the game is. Not many people are playing it. And even though it's a weekly reset and you do get a weekly quest for this, we'll call it raid. I'm not sure if that's what it actually is. It still takes time. And so it's just frustrating to have that. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, from the offset, already a low rating for me, so I guess 2 out of 10, and there's no alternative, that's the thing. A lot of these grinds here have an alternative that's reliable and doable. Except for Castrum. I guess Castrum you need resistance rank 10, but that's pretty doable. It's actually really easy to get there. I'm not going to lie, that's easier than I thought. I got it on the first day that I got to Boston, essentially. I think it was the first day anyway. And it's easier to do in a group, as I said, doing fates with a group as well. But if I had to suggest an alternative, it would be to have like critical encounters, maybe drop them as well, much like the rest, have it be a random drop. And that's just much more reliable in my opinion. Even though they spawn much less and might take longer, I'd rather have my time to do hobbies and anything else in the meantime. Ow, just hit my balls. I'd rather have my time to do that than using all my time to fucking play Delubrum Reginae, like fuck off. And the fact I have to do this 10 times because I've got 2 relic weapons in the works is absurd, and I dread the next steps because it's like, what the fuck? This leads on to the topic issue, which is the fact that I'm wasting so much time on this that it's like bleeding into my bedtime essentially. It sucks, just objectively so, because of the nature of it. It's just such an unnecessary grind. It's not fun. It's time wasting, and then people like me who are vulnerable to this shit get time wasted because I'm focusing on it too much. I'm panicking. My mental health issues get in the way, and there's no avoiding that in gaming landscapes, by the way, which people seem to think there is a solution for, but it's not. It exists in even other games, like even Deep Rock, which is like the most generous life service there is. But even then, I still have FOMO on it. I've literally gone through games where they're modded to hell and they spawn in everything, and haven't actually been through one of those in a long time because I haven't needed to. I was happily earning things passively, but at the same time I'm wondering how much time have I got? And also, do I live every day like it's my loss? It's a question that runs through my head almost daily. And the conclusion is often, yeah, I should, as long as it's not harming anyone else. That's kind of why, even in a severe case like Genshin Impact as well, it's not severe though, technically speaking, I considered having a look for some sort of private sort of mod where you can buy it and get it undetected, or I don't know, maybe not buy it, but have it undetected and unlock every character you want ever for the rest of the game. And that's just so that I don't have to pay for it or grind it out, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of grinding it out. I don't mind exploring, that's fine, but grinding it out in terms of like the end game shit and even just logging in daily, it just feels like such a unnecessary element to it. And so obviously I want to mod it. I want to get into the game to unlock everything that I'd otherwise grind for. Basically replace the grind with an alternative. And would I do that with Final Fantasy XIV? With the amount of time and money I put in the game, no. But there may come a time that I might, and that's quite concerning, because this is what my mental health does to me, essentially. I'm stuck in a situation where I can't focus properly on anything, because these things get in the way. They feel like they take over my life. And that's where my sleep deprivation comes in, because I used to have this badly back in World of Warcraft. I remember every now and then I remember even for like a beast, mythical beast, that's it, for the hunters. So I remember killing my first one by accident, because the game has stupid fucking game design. So it's easier to kill them by accident than it is to capture them. And I was kind of like, oh, fuck me, I have to wait another, how many hours now? I can't remember how long it takes to respawn. I think it's like 6. I remember doing the one in Duskwood with the Spectral Wolf, I believe. Was it Spectral Fox? I can't remember. Spectral something. And it was a very rare spawn. I had my add-ons and stuff, so I could scan the place I found it the first time. Somehow. And accidentally killed it. And I was just devastated. I remember going to sleep that night, not being able to, because I was thinking, how the fuck am I going to get this now? And because I had bad insomnia and woke up every now and then, I ended up waking up in the middle of the night, logged on, found it, and I got it. I thought, okay, great. But I don't feel satisfaction. And that's not a good thing to have either. And I remember doing the same thing for the other dragons and stuff, like the dragon mounts rather. I mean, because I can't remember the name, the crystal one in the cataclysm place. And there was also the time one in Wrath of the Lich King. But both of which were resolved with, well, a relevant Discord, I think, where they show the spawns and they get the groups and stuff. It's really handy. Gotta admit that did help. But yeah, it's quite a weird situation. But the even weirder one was the Voidbird, which I remember farming for in Walls of Draenor. I just sat behind a portal spawn. I remember I was playing Rocksmith, I think, and I have the game on the side just to see, and I like turned for a second and realised, wait, there's a fucking portal there. And this is after 2 days of searching for it, essentially. Yeah, I got it, thankfully, but why? Why does it have to be like this? It just doesn't make sense, and this is why I've always detested MMOs. Believe it or not, even though I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, it doesn't change the fact that I hate the grinds. I hate the difficulty of these things. Which is why I prefer a game like Deep Rock Galactic, where you can play it casually and even dip your toes into the difficult content just for fun, and just not be fucking bombarded with toxicity. There's so many good reasons that Deep Rock Galactic does it well. Obviously, Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft don't. It's literally a race against time, and you're trying to beat it essentially. You're trying to complete time. That's basically what it is. It's not really a match of skill or dedication. There's no dedication to it other than wasting your time. So again, this is how you get sleep deprived and how people like me get sucked into it. Because there are severe issues, there's a FOMO element to it. And it's even not the worry with Final Fantasy XIV, where 8.0 might just rewrite everything. It might make a new engine, it might make a new game entirely. Or why not just make it Final Fantasy 17? It's my response. And that means everything you've ever done is lost, and I do worry about that too. Whereas a game like Deep Rock Galactic is timeless, it will be there forever. As long as people obviously keep it protected, like Steam and storage drives and stuff, all that sort of gibberish, I don't know what to call it. It exists, and it should be staying in these places. Yeah, as I said, it's frustrating, but here we are. So, I need to move on. I'm getting pretty tired, and I need to go to sleep at some point. But yeah. God, I better make an outro. Didn't realise how long it was going on for. I haven't even made the intro yet. So many things have been to talk about, I guess. But anyway, thanks for listening.